Hey, Sal, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm here in your podcast studio again.
You're here in my podcast studio. A couple of people tried to comment that they were trying to see where I was based on the reflection of my glasses. And so I'm going to try to get them a little beautiful outside. I'm looking out a window. But also, I know we don't have a special effects budget, but it would be great to put like Ghostface from Scream, just like in...
Just a knife.
I also needed to shave. I forgot my dad would watch this.
Oh, was he upset?
He was very disappointed by the appearance I chose for our
See, I thought it was great, and I thought it was great, and
yeah,
it was funny because a lot of people said I didn't know Seth had an even more casual mode.
Yeah, they thought they were seeing my floor. They thought they were seeing my floor on network television, but I actually can go lower. Very nice to see you. Sal, I want to address something real quick, which is one time my son said to me, Dad, when you die, do I get your show?
Yeah.
Now, I love my son, and that's why I wanted to preface this, because no judgment in anyone who thinks that when a loved one dies, you just get to take their place. That's what Darlene Graham, Lindsey Graham's sister, she has the same sort of worldview as Ash.
Yes.
And she is now running to fill Lindsey Graham's Senate seat.
Yes.
She did not, in the primary, she did not win enough of the vote total to avoid a runoff. Mm-hmm. There was a viral moment from the debate she had against Ralph Norman where she was asked about foreign policy. And can we just show her answer real quick, Tony?
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States? And if so, why or how?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security. But I do support the military.
The one thing, if you only watch Lindsey Graham on Meet the Press and Face the Nation and shows like that, the one thing you would know a little about is foreign policy.
Yes.
The one thing he talked about every week. Like, that was his thing.
Yeah. Arguably, for the worse. I don't think it's good that he was in flight.
I think that, so are you maybe saying, like, Darlene Graham, it might be in a better place because ultimately the senator from South Carolina should not have so many ideas about foreign policy?
I think compared to Lindsey Graham, it might... If we're not going to get somebody who has progressive views on foreign policy, it's better to have somebody who knows nothing about foreign policy.
But my takeaway is that I don't think she watched her brother on Meet the Press.
He did. I agree. I think he did too many.
If you were like, I'm just going to see Lindsey every week on Meet the Press, I think you'd be able to answer any question from a conservative perspective about foreign policy.
Yes. I think he did too many. He was on Meet the Press or Face the Nation like every weekend talking about foreign policy, Russia, Iran, invading 9 other countries.
So you think at some point she was like, she would TiVo it and then ultimately she just got exhaustion? Like it just piled up and she was like, I can't do this anymore? You know?
Yes, exactly. It's like trying to watch all versions of The Real Housewives. It's like you can't catch up on all of that.
That's true.
Like there's just no way.
He was kind of the real senator of Ukraine, the real senator of Iran, the real he was every episode. He was every version of The Real Housewives.
Yes, he was.
Can we also go back and just play? There's just the moment where the audience reacts to her saying she just doesn't know anything about it.
I'm not that informed on national security, so...
There's a real, the ooh is not, it's not even like they're trying to shame her with the ooh. It's like they're genuinely surprised.
They're genuinely surprised that she couldn't bull her way through an answer.
Yeah. It was like, it's the sound I feel like a circus audience would make if the tightrope walker announced right beforehand, like, I've never done this before.
Or
like it was like, oh.
Or got on the tightrope and then was just like, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna climb back down. I just. But
it was a real. I've never heard that. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't quite know what to do with it.
It was a series of reactions where people were processing the fact that she was already a United States senator. She's already a member of the United States Senate.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that. She's a senator.
She's already a member of the United States Senate.
I keep forgetting because it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
Look at that. That was an answer from a senator.
Yes, an actual sitting United States senator gave that answer, which you know, again, from your perspective, it's either better or worse depending on what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing
that's
it
true.
if you're
Yep.
comparing it to Lindsey Graham, arguably maybe better that she doesn't know jack foreign policy.
It is true, and I will. At one point, she said, "I don't think this is what South Carolina voters care about," and I think she might be right about that too.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, we know what people care about the most, which is also stuff that Republicans don't want to talk about, by the way. It's not like the stuff
cost
that
of
they
living.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, she did she was like, obviously, what we care about is like trans kids in sports. Like that was her
Yes.
pivot. Yeah.
yes,
So
exactly.
it wasn't like she was pivoting. She found another thing people don't care about.
Yeah, yeah. It's not she didn't find a good faith reason. She was like, "Look, I haven't been boning up on foreign policy because I've been trying to figure out how to get the price of lettuce to come down. I've been trying to
No.
figure out how the cure for cyclospora. Like
Yeah, no.
I'm too busy in the lab researching if there's an effective vaccine for explosive diarrhea that's spreading across the country right now." She's like, "That would have been a better answer." I think everyone would have been actually fine with it if she was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I don't really know that much because every day I'm in the lab and I'm trying to find out how we can make blueberries eatable again.
She didn't even have to say she was in the lab. She could have just been like, "Look, with all due respect, like, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about, we're talking about China and Taiwan? I mean, people in South Carolina care about gas prices, and I'd love to answer questions about that." But
Yeah.
no, she was just like, "I don't know. I was like, I got to be honest. Pass."
Yeah. I just think nobody's ever seen a pass before from a sitting politician.
What was I will say the price of gas. Donald Trump was very contrite about this. He kind of owned his piece in this, right? Recently,
Yes.
didn't he have a quote?
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
it? What did he say about $4 a gallon, Sal? I feel like he sent me the quote.
I sent you the quote, and he was very apologetic.
Yeah.
As is his.
Because again, he said it would be at $2 a gallon at this point.
In fact, he talked about it arguably more than anything he's talked about ever in his life until he became president and then switched to talking about ballrooms and stuff like that. But before he got reelected, all he ever talked about was the price of gas. And he talked about it, and then he talked about how it was under $2 a gallon when he was president the first time, partially because nobody was going anywhere because there was a pandemic, out of control pandemic. But nonetheless, he bragged nonstop. He invented that he saw a random sign somewhere in Iowa where gas was below $2 a gallon. Like we've played this montage on the show, of him talking about $2 a gallon of gas, and he's like, "You'll never get that under. You never got to get that under Biden. Like thanks to me." And then but he was cool. He said he was cool. He was cool about it. He said
he's cool now.
Yeah, he's cool now. He's cool now. He said after he met Mom Donnie and he wore that red scarf once.
Yeah.
Remember that?
He's
he
like,
turned
"I'm a
into
cool guy
cool
now. I understand that people. It's cool to say you were wrong."
Yes, exactly. So his exact quote was, "When you have to pay a little bit more, you're at $4. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'll never apologize.
Yeah.
I did the right thing."
right
Actually, a lot of people have focused on the "I'll never apologize. I did the right thing," of course. My favorite part is it's okay.
It's okay, you guys. I know you're upset, but it's okay.
The worst therapist in the world. The worst reassurance ever. The number one thing people are the maddest about, including his own voters. You will see viral clips of his own voters at gas stations, at the pump, saying like, "I was lied to. This is not what I voted for. Like Donald Trump told me like gas was going to be below $2 a gallon. It's now above $4." And his only response to those people is, "It's okay.
It's okay." Also, it's very weird for a guy who's never apologized about anything to say, "I'll never apologize for that." You're like, you don't apologize for anything.
No.
So
You
the
never
idea
have-
that he's like, "Look, obviously, I'm apologetic. I'll fess up when I made a mistake, but on this one, I can't apologize."
In a weird way, it's actually the closest he's ever gotten to an apology by acknowledging that this would normally be a place where you would apologize.
Right. To
Like
even address that this was on the plate as an option. Yeah.
It's an implicit acknowledgement that a normal person would apologize in this situation.
Yeah.
Like, if you walk into any conversation and with your spouse or a friend, and you're talking about something, and you just say, "I'll never apologize," like you're almost certainly in the wrong, and you know that you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, have you spent any time in the summer? Do you see your father-in-law much, Sal?
Yeah. I just did. Once in a while. They live close by. I saw him a couple weeks ago.
I've seen my father-in-law a lot this summer, and I have a lot of, I just want to say some sympathy for Jared Kushner, because I've dealt with father-in-laws over the years. I know how they can undercut you. Yeah. He got really, his father-in-law did a number on him, because Jared said this week, Iran is engaging in a very strong way, and that is quite positive. We are having very positive and active conversations, probably more robust than it's maybe ever been. So not only is he, obviously his father's given him a job to do. He's doing it. He's even talking about it using the parlance of his father-in-law.
Yes. I'm
going to talk about it in a way that he will understand.
That he would be proud of.
Very strong, quite positive.
Yes.
More than maybe it's ever been. These sort of like vague, this is probably the best it's ever gone.
And I don't know about you. When I heard that, it was such a relief.
That it was finally coming to an end.
That was finally coming to an end, yeah.
And I was expecting Donald Trump's response to be like, obviously just got the good news from Jared. I just want to second everything he said.
The same way he said, absolutely, I'll be at my son's wedding, no problem.
He instead said there are no talks going on or scheduled with the Islamic Republic of Iran. So so he's basically saying that Jared Kushner's crazy. Like he's not even undercutting him. He's like, I don't know what this guy's talking. There aren't even talks going on.
One of two people in this situation needs to be on medication.
Yeah.
It's either Jared Kushner or Donald Trump. It's like, if you're in a car with somebody and you get home and the one person says like, oh my God, we were in this wreck. It was crazy. And like, we were there for hours and the cops came and like, ambulance to take somebody away. And the other guy was like, it was a 5-minute trip. I don't know what you're talking about. We just drove
But at
home.
least that you could prove by looking at the car. This is like one guy came home and said, yeah, we listened to a really cool podcast. And then the other guy was like, there's no radio in the car. You're like, what is
Which,
going
by the
on
way,
with
is something
these two?
Trump would say in real life. Probably like, he would be so impressed by a radio in a car.
Yeah.
Like when he got in the Tesla and he said it's all computer.
It's all computer, not computers.
Yes, it's all a computer. He probably thought it probably was just a radio. He didn't even notice the monitor. He probably thought it was just a radio that he thought was a computer.
Sorry, I know you were pulling for him. Mike Lindell did not win his primary.
Yeah, I was pulling for him because I was hoping to get a free pillow.
And he then he accepted the results, as we knew he would.
Again, totally cool now. He's totally cool.
He lost by 11 points, and of course he's saying there needs to be a full audit. He saw a bunch of irregularities.
Yes.
The thing I'll say is, not that I would ever support voter fraud, but if I was gonna do voter fraud, I would do it in a Mike Lindell election, because I'd be like, nobody's gonna believe this mother. Like, what do you like? He's been crying wolf for so long. I just like tell all my supporters, I'm like, just vote twice. Don't even try to cover it up. Like, who listened to Mike Lindell on election night? We're like, oh, well, we should probably retabulate by hand.
It's also the funniest prank to do to somebody.
Yeah. It would be funny if just like Minnesota, like Republicans and Democrats alike just got together and be like, let's just with them this time. Let's make sure the final results are 10% higher than the amount of people living in Minnesota.
The math's so obvious that it drives them insane.
Let's make it a map that's slightly wrong. Like even the picture and just there's weird like different towns. Let's just try to put an end to this once and for all.
There's like a bunch of lakes where there aren't any and there's people voting from the lakes. It's
Or no
like-
lakes?
No,
There's
or
no
no
lakes.
Yeah, there's no. Sorry, that's what it should be. There's no lakes at all.
And then it's just so that it's Mike Lindell like holding a map, holding a poster board in the lobby of like the Fox News building, being like, "There's no lakes. They took the lakes." And everybody's like, "What's this guy talking about now?"
Also, because Republicans are happy, like they got even though Trump endorsed Lindell, but like the rest of the Republican infrastructure didn't want Mike Lindell to be the nominee for.
And it seemed
So
like one of like Trump's like softer
yeah,
like endorsements.
unlike his pillows, a
Yes.
softer
Right.
endorsement.
It seemed like Trump, like 90 minutes before polls closed, was like, "Go get him, Mike." Like it wasn't. He wasn't out there on the stump.
It's so funny everything
Yeah.
they've done to this man.
I know.
It's so like, I mean, everything he's done is horrible. I mean, he's done obviously insane, irreparable damage to the country by meeting with Donald Trump and telling him that Venezuela was using. I don't know. I don't remember the exact details. I don't want Lindell, Mike Lindell,
right.
to come after us. But
Well, why do you think he's litigious? Are you worried that at this point, not being sued by Mike Lindell, you might feel like you're invisible?
yeah, like, or it's the greatest fact check in the world. Like you are ironclad. He
Yeah.
can't come after you. But I mean, he is now on the other end because during the campaign, he got a complaint because he was giving out his pillows for free
Yeah.
at an event. And there was a complaint filed against him that he was violating campaign law.
Do you know what they're filling his pillows with now?
No.
Feathers from the dead ducks in the reflecting pool. It's a callback.
Call back to the first.
So
They're unclogging the drains. They're unclogging the drains. The feathers are coming out of the drains.
and
we're
they're going
putting them
into
in
the
my-
pillows, and now they're in the pillows. Hey, so John Ossoff, a senator from Georgia,
Yeah.
he made a comment that it's gotten him in hot water with Republicans.
Yeah, he was talking about Trump's corruption, very obvious his preference for luxuriating himself and making money and playing golf. And he mentioned in the course of talking about that very real salient issue, in the course of that, he mentioned also that Trump likes to travel with his personal aide, Natalie Harp. And he said
Yes.
Trump would rather travel with Natalie than do his job.
So just so you can judge for yourself, here are John Ossoff's comments about this female staffer who works with the president.
CNN's a very corrupt organization, but with a corrupt reporter standing right there. Never smiles. She never smiles. She's a young, beautiful woman, never smiles. I never see a smile off her face. I see her standing there with hatred in her eyes.
No, Tony, not. Oh my God, dude,
Tony,
that was not the clip.
Tony,
Tony,
come on, man.
to quote Melania, be best.
Be best. And you know what? I feel like part of what's going on here is the nation has caught decoy fever after Trump's decoy plane.
Yeah.
So Tony played a decoy clip on us.
That's a deal. Try again, Tony. Play. Now,
Yes.
these are the comments, the incredibly distressing comments that Republicans, I would say, I don't even know if they're pearl clutching. It feels like if it was coal instead of pearls, they would have diamonds. They are clutching, clutch coal and make diamonds. That's how hard the clutching is. So here's what John Ossoff said about Natalie Hart.
Why not? Why are you acting as if
Tony!
Oh,
Please do not.
Tony.
People did not tune into whatever this is for you to do this move, Tony, to
For
show
your
this
goofs and
contradiction.
for your gags. People aren't here to.
I'm
people are-
sorry. We're gonna have a talking
Yeah.
to Tony, and then we're gonna. But next week we're gonna try to have these.
Should
John
we
Ossoff.
describe just so people know Tony like
Yeah,
big
big
guy, cigar chomping,
Yeah, gold chains,
gold
multiple gold
chains.
chains,
Yeah, multiple gold chains.
and he wears a T-shirt. His T-shirt says, "I'm gonna play the clips. I'm gonna play."
Yeah, we're actually very scared of Tony. Yes,
let me make
we're
it clear. We're very scared of Tony. Sal, what's going on in Iran? I feel like, is there clarity since the last time we talked about Iran?
Yeah, there's clarity. Everyone completely understands what's going on.
We do actually have a clip package here, right?
In the last week, as you're watching this, Trump has once again done his thing where he claims all sides of
every
the situation. He takes every position. He says the Strait of Hormuz is a U.S. territory. So we completely control it now. Oil's flowing freely through it. There's no problem at all. It's as if nothing has ever happened. Then at the same time, he's threatening to blow the out of Oman, a U.S. ally, if they negotiate a deal to open the Strait of Hormuz, which Trump claims is already open. And so if it was already open, presumably he wouldn't have to threaten to bomb the out of a U.S. ally negotiating to open the strait, he says, is open. And by the way, on top of that, like, there's also this thing going on with South Korea where he was like, you know, at the last minute out of nowhere, he posted with no warning to anybody, reportedly, that he was scaling back joint military exercises with close U.S. ally South Korea, who recently gifted him a gold crown.
Well,
like,
that's
to show
the
their
problem,
affection
though. You
for
give
him.
somebody a gold crown and then somebody else gives them a plane. Like, don't get caught playing.
There's no winning the gift war with Trump.
Like Yankee swapping with Trump is not. You're just not going to end up on the right side of things.
How do you even one up the guitar you playing? I don't know.
You're
who could have
done.
one-upped
And
that.
by the way, like it ain't like things are going to go well for Qatar forever, right? Like this is going to turn against them. It's already not going great for them.
Trump's already bailing on their plane.
And also like it's not like safer to be in Qatar than it was 6 months ago.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they've gotten corruption and bribery. Like they've gotten.
They have gotten that.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm sorry. I retract. They have gotten something out of it. They have gotten corruption.
Yes.
And bribery.
But nonetheless, yeah.
Yes. So should we play the montage of Trump putting everybody's mind at ease about Iran?
Yeah, this is a montage where Trump makes it very clear and has for some time exactly what is going on in Iran.
What is the goal if there is a U.S. military
Well, we're either make a deal or we're going to get a deal one way or the other. They're sick people. They're saying, how do we make a deal?
There will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender.
We've had very good discussions. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. They are lunatics.
I could take out Iran in one day.
We're very close to making a deal with Iran. We have a very good relationship with Iran right now.
Iran, quote, better get smart soon. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Iran is dying to make a deal. Iran wants to make a deal. Could happen any day. They're crazy. They want very much to make a deal. We've defeated them. We hit them hard yesterday, and we're going to hit them again hard today. We appreciate the relationship we've had over the short period of time with Iran. It's a very strong deal. Nobody knows what it is, but it's very strong. I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. They want to make a deal. We'll have Iran defeated soon. They want to make a deal. Very evil people. They asked us very nicely, please stop. Let's meet.
President Trump tells Fox News about Iran, we are going to beat the effing S out of them.
I just love going immediately from they're very evil people to they very nicely asked us to stop.
And we
nice
appreciate
guys.
it because, for how evil they are, we were taken aback with how polite they were on the phone.
So I don't know, revisiting the Jared Kushner, it's really, it's a toss-up in this case, who's out of their mind. I think it's possible that it's both of them.
So he was basically doing the job he wants to be doing, which is he was walking around the White House. He was showing off a helipad. He was talking a lot about grass. He was talking about marble. And, he should be hosting a show about real estate.
I think what he really wishes, instead of being president, is just that a president had hired him to renovate the White House.
Yes. Fascinating. If any president in the past 20 years, So I know there's this thing, and I for the record, think it was the right path forward to actually prosecute Donald Trump for crimes.
Yeah.
With that said, looking back, if Joe Biden had just put him in charge of renovating the White House,
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
He's the renovation guy, so he's ultimately not making the calls. It's not like
No,
But if this
it's
was
like-
if there was like an official project designated by Congress, and he's just basically the foreman. He's like the contractor.
He's the foreman, and it's like this is
Yeah.
how the country has found like bipartisan agreement. Is there's a
Yes.
Democratic president and the former president who did not accept the election results and staged a riot. Like the way that we basically had the olive branches, like you can renovate the White House, and
Yeah, you can replace the asphalt in the driveway with granite.
you can do whatever you want. And
Yeah.
and then I don't know, I'd be like, well, this is what I would spend taxpayer money on, but I like that
Yes.
it's just a time of peace.
If we knew what the alternative was, yes. If we knew
Right.
that the alternative, if you could have foreknowledge of the alternative multiverse where he's president now, and it's as disastrous as it could possibly be, you couldn't imagine. I mean, I guess you could theoretically, but like, barring some like existential thing happening, like it's as disastrous as it could possibly be. It's as corrupt as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
So we have this clip of Trump talking, and I love the juxtaposition of these two clips because, and this is like the kind of thing we would do if we had our show, if we were
Yeah.
doing a closer look.
And by the way, this is not for, again, this is not a closer look. This is a closer look.
This is not
out
a
of
closer
office.
look. This is a closer look out of office.
I think everybody will be excited to see a closer look in office.
Yes,
when we get back.
and it will be in office. We will get back, and it'll be a closer look in office
With clips and jokes and
yeah.
setups. Oh, baby.
There's a whole subtitle we're adding, a closer look in office with clips and setups and jokes
Yeah.
and punchlines. Yes. But in the meantime, we're doing this as proof of life, as you mentioned
Proof of
last
life,
week.
yeah.
Which, side note, by the way, a lot of people, there's a lot of debate going on. Oh, do you have proof? Are you holding up proof of life?
Yeah, because I don't know what day we're going to air, so you can just put the graphic in there. It's a dry erase board.
Yeah, the least convincing. If a kidnapper did that, I feel like that
Would be the
police-
yeah. If there was a picture of Mitch McConnell with a newspaper and it just said insert date here. You're like, oh, he's maybe dead.
His bones are clogging the reflecting pool
The
pipes.
bones, and we don't know. We lost the bones and the bones. Nobody knows what's Mitch and what's the duck. And because as you get older, your bones look like bird bones.
Just standing on the lawn of the White House talking for an hour about we're trying to decipher the difference between the duck
sorting
bones
out
and
the
the McConnell
bones.
bones.
And then we'll get a good burial. But there's gonna be a little duck in there. There's no way to get all. There'll be a little duck, but mostly Mitch.
Because you can see him. Like, that's another. I bet that is a topic. The way, like, for example, after Lindsey Graham died, he's the one who goes out there. He's supposedly his best friend. Says he sucked at golf.
Yeah.
And it says a part of his body exploded.
Yeah.
Like, and so you know that there's a very good, like, Trump would love, rather than to talk about the specificity of Iran or healthcare or any other topic that he knows absolutely nothing about, he would love to stand there for an hour next to the helicopter talking about we have the best men deciphering the difference between the duck bones and the McConnell bones. Like,
But
talking
it's
about
hard.
like
But it's hard.
the density, because as you'll see from this clip, he's so interested in the specifics, like the weight and the size of granite and stone, and he has so much knowledge of that as opposed to what we just showed, which was a war he's currently prosecuting in Iran, where he clearly is not even on the same page as his own son-in-law as to what is going on. He's not on the same page as his own son-in-law, key U.S. allies in the region, key U.S. allies abroad, everywhere else, his own administration, Iran. He's not on the same page with himself, but he knows every little fine detail about the renovations that he's doing at the White House. Should we play the clip of him talking at the White House the other day? And it's a lengthy clip. And just remember that this is a small selection of the time the President of the United States spent standing outside the White House talking to reporters about the granite in the driveway.
All right, and while you're listening, pretend it is an alternative timeline. It's 2026. Kamala is in the White House, and part of the deal is that she put Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, in charge of renovations. And so
he's the driveway guy.
This is not a president talking. This is just former President Donald Trump / current driveway guy.
Like I'm fixing the country, we're fixing the White House too. One of the things we're doing, and this was always asphalt, which is very basic, not appropriate for a great house. We got rid of the asphalt here, and this is granite. And if you notice, it's radial. Radial meaning it's cut about 2 degrees. Every stone is 2 degrees rounded. So that instead of putting straight pieces down, we have the stone is absolutely perfectly rounded. If you look at it, it's sort of amazing because you can barely see it, but it's just a slight radial cut, and it's a perfect job. It's a white granite. It's called a flawless granite. We get the best stuff. One thing I know how to do is build. And so we put a brand new face on the front of the White House on the ground. The cars will pull up, and this is what you'd have, as opposed to the asphalt, which was literally, they had potholes in it. We've redone the colonnade, going to the Oval Office. For 50 years, more than that, they've wanted to have a heliport, but nobody knew how to go about it. So they've been trying to build a heliport, meaning a pad, for more than 50 years. And we had it designed. This granite has a 1,000,000-year life. It's a very strong stone. It will never break. It will never leak. It will never do anything. This is the highest quality stone you can get. And especially for something like this, it's rated a 1,000,000-year plus. It's 35,000 pounds per square inch. It comes from California, from a quarry in California. We had a lot of slope on it, and I felt it was too much slope. It's a slope for the rain, but I felt it was too much slope. We actually put a 1/2 of 1 degree slope, so the rain gets off. It's also 4 inches thick. Normally you'd get 1 inch or 1.5 inches. It's 4 inches thick. And now we're going to walk over and we're going to see this goes equidistant on the other side. And right over there, if you notice, is where the ballroom and military complex will be. So let's take a look at the helipad and we'll walk together if you'd like.
And that's where you'd play the intro to his makeover show.
Yes. It's genuinely, I had a moment where I really was trying to live in your alternate reality.
It's
that
pleasant.
You described. And you're like, it is anxiety reducing. If you're watching that and you're thinking he is currently not the president.
Yep.
He's just the guy who works there and does drive asphalt.
And he seems to know a lot about it. It's very funny for a guy who claims to be an expert at everything to just fully admit the one thing I know how to do is build.
Again.
You know, he says that, not realizing he's damning everything else he's doing.
The implicit confession there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, there's definitely not a kind of granite rated 1,000,000 years plus.
I don't think there's any insurance company that would cover a claim of 1,000,000 years.
Well, look, I guess your hope would be like, if it's 1,000, if you think it's going to make it 1,000, you might as well call it 1,000,000 years plus. Because they like, but it's very funny. Again, just the level of hyperbole, not just to say 1,000,000 years, but then to throw plus in there is fantastic.
Yes.
Again, in my alternate universe, that's a sweet man who likes paving. He likes radial cut. He likes heliports and helipads.
Well, in your alternate universe, you have to know also nothing else about him. Because he was also...
Yeah, that's true. Right.
If you're watching this clip and you've never... This is the real... Because we've said this on the show. The alternate reality where he wasn't born with $1 million is he's like a used car salesman in Queens. Or he's like a taxi driver.
Like, if this is a story about a guy in Queens who was sort of a local legend for how well he did driveways, and then, he sort of became, through some viral video, he became the White House driveway guy,
Yes.
And they got him
Yeah.
a nice suit and a big red tie, and he was just. But he's just so happy. You know, that
Yes.
thing of like, come walk with me.
Yes. It's funny to imagine somebody being like, come walk with me. We'll take a tour of the White House, and only telling you the slope of the granite of the driveway. like, it's like taking a tour of the Sistine Chapel, and they're just like, there used to be asphalt in these walls, but they took them out. They had it
Yeah.
remediated. Yeah.
And of course, you know, and again, you also can't, you know, pan past, because of course the next thing he's going to do is going to bring him over to this ballroom, which is, you know, total disaster. And,
Yes.
and now, because the courts are trying to stop it, it's probably going to go to the Supreme Court. And knowing the Supreme Court, like, doesn't this just feel like one where they're like, yeah, it's too late to do anything? Don't you feel like it's just going to be the thing that is not in the Constitution or any law books?
Yes.
Where
Yes.
all of a sudden they're just going to be like practical
Yes.
and like, it's
Yeah.
just they're almost done.
Yeah.
And they're gonna
so
write
close.
like flowery language, but like that's ultimately the gist of it's gonna be like it's almost done. We gotta let him finish. But
Yes. Yeah.
because there was New York Times said they're basically like working people like 20 hours a day. They're working like they're going overtime, like build the pyramids hours to finish this thing before the courts can stop it.
Yeah.
And they're
Yes.
just like planting like high grade rebar in the ground. They're basically trying to build a thing that can't be torn down
Yes.
because they're
Yeah.
worried the courts are gonna make them tear it down.
Yes, yes, exactly. There's a bunch of funny things that they said in the ruling. So he suffered this legal defeat because they stayed it to allow him to appeal to the Supreme Court, but the court said the obvious, which is that you can't do this without congressional approval. You can't just tear down like. I think we should play that really quick because there's like a bunch of funny things about. There's a bunch of, to me at least, there's a bunch of funny things that a court shouldn't have to say. Like lawyers, like people who have studied constitutional jurisprudence for decades, like going back, like, you know, we've gone from Marbury versus Madison to courts now saying, like, you can't bulldoze the East Wing, you idiot.
Like it's not it's not your house. Like that's a lot of what people are saying.
Exactly. Yes. And that's
your
like
house.
An entire legal argument, entire brief from a court of like judges with expertise in constitutional law saying you don't live here. You like it's not.
Yeah,
you don't.
it's not
own
your
this.
house.
Yeah. We did skip over Trump talking about the grass, which I also thought was really
well,
funny.
one of the nice things about Closer Look Out of Office, we're doing this to, you know, bridge the gap between when we're back. It's a long hiatus. But this is kind of cool. We do have a sponsor via the ad that is going to play as the president talks about the White House grass.
This grass will look so beautiful. If you remember, it had big sunken areas in here, and it was pretty bad. It was in bad shape. But this grass was the highest quality. It was given free of charge by Scott's Miracle Grow, Scott's. And Scott's is a great company. They actually contributed to my campaign. I must be honest. You'll figure that one out. And they said to me, sir, we'd like to replace the grass at the White House with the highest quality grass and do a real job. So Scott's, I want to thank Scott's Miracle Grow. It's I think the biggest grass company in the world.
And now for our listeners, get 15% off Scott's when you go to scotts.com and enter promo code Closer Look Out of Office.
The immediate thought, the first thought I had when I saw that is the last time Trump did a commercial, just an ad for a company on the White House grounds was Tesla.
Right.
And soon after that, the CEO of that company accused him of being implicated in the Epstein sex trafficking scandal.
Right. Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if we're only a few weeks away from the president being engaged in an incredibly nasty feud somehow with the CEO
right,
of
right.
Scott's
He's
Miracle Grow.
gonna start blaming Scott's for how the White House lawn got damaged after the America's 250th.
Yeah.
Fair.
Scott's a very nasty man.
I don't like Scott's. I don't like any of the Scotts. There's more than one of them. The Scotts.
There's real Scots and there's decoy Scots.
He's really it's like the ESPN Classic sketch that Sudeikis and Forte used to do, where there was like a sponsor. The amount that he's like Scots, it's just really just a total ad speak. Keeps getting Miracle Grow in there.
Yeah,
just really good.
Yeah, it shows you the one thing he's good at, which is promoting things. He remembers the branding.
And now, if you order Miracle Grow now, you get the new Scots Cedar. The Scots Cedar. You roll it, the seeds come out.
I also love when he says things like, "You remember there were sunken areas here." I'm like, I don't. Who remembers that?
I do think he saw, right? I don't think he's making up that there were bad patches of grass, that there were, potholes in the driveway, right?
Sure.
Like, I believe he saw those things and those things drove him crazy.
Yes.
The one, again, a man who has never met a lie he didn't like. I think those things are true. It's just, it's fascinating that he thinks we were as upset about them as he was.
Yes. Like, he had a choice of 2 phone calls he could make. One would be to Jared Kushner to figure out what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz and why he said what he said on Fox News. The other call he could make would be to the CEO of Scott's Miracle Grow.
Yeah.
And say, hey, can we get some new grass over here at the White House? And he chose the second call.
I mean, shout out to whoever at Scott's was like, let's do the lawn. I bet he'll mention us. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
Whoever in marketing over there was like, I got a crazy idea. Should we just pay to do the White House lawn?
But again, it's just like mesmerizing to me the degree to which he's familiar with the smallest details of all of this, from grass to granite to helipads to the slope of the driveway, and
he has some flagpole comments. He's a flagpole guy. He knows flagpoles. He does have a weird thing about grass. Maybe we could play it real quick. He keeps sort of talking about how grass is living just like human beings.
Grass has a life like humans have a life. And this is all going to be, right now, it's put in, if you come back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's in shock. But you come back in 2 or 3 weeks, this has all been redone. It's all been topsoiled. In other words, we put topsoil, brand new earth on top. It's very, lot of good ingredients in that earth for grass. If you're grass, you're very happy.
This feels like he's just coming to some, just like, I don't know, like realization, like almost like a Zen Buddhist, all living things.
Yeah. Yes.
He's
going to start growing like a George Harrison beard.
Yeah.
To really like.
Grass is people.
Yes. Yes. Grass is people.
It'd be really funny if that was like, that'd be his new chant. It's like, lock her up, build the wall. And now he's like, grass is people.
Because he's run out of things. There's nothing else left to chant at a MAGA rally. You can't chant build the wall. You can't chant lock her up. You can't chant anything. Gas. He can't. He won't even. You can't even promise gas is going to be $2. He's out there at MAGA rally saying. So there's
no chance, right? We're in the no chant era.
Yeah. Yeah, where there's nothing left for him to promise or talk about or chant or get excited for, except for grass is people. Grass is people. Grass has feelings and grass is people.
Grass is people. And then he just like kind of pumps his fist and smiles because
whoever's left at these rallies, like the dwindling crowds of people are just like screaming like
the true MAGA dead enders are the ones who are just grass is people.
Grass is people and the pool is duck bones. Okay, real quick, because we're talking about renovations, there's 2 important points that I feel like are worth making. One is we were just talking about what the judges said about all of this. Like, they were talking about the ballroom in particular, but it applies logically, it applies to everything. So this is what the court said about the ballroom project that he is now rushing to build in defiance of the courts.
Federal appeals courts just blocked the construction of President Trump's 90,000 square foot ballroom. They say the project needs congressional approval.
Congress must authorize any kind of funding to renovate not just the White House grounds, but any federal property that it reaches the level of either kind of a Smithsonian museum, any kind of government building.
We are aware of no instance in American history in which a president unilaterally and using privately collected funds demolished substantial portions of the White House that Congress authorized to be built and American taxpayers paid for. Until now.
The judges, appointees of Presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden, saying whether or not a massive ballroom should be constructed is for Congress to decide and is not a matter for executive self-help.
Basically, this 2-to-1 ruling from the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court was that the White House does not belong to the president, that he is not the owner of the executive mansion, that he's merely a tenant.
By the way, the most haunting part of that for me is 2-to-1, which means there's one judge who's like, no, it's his house. It's his house, and he should be able to use it for self-help. He lives there. It's his house now.
Yeah. It was very eye-opening to me, the comparison to the Smithsonian. Like, we've gotten so used to this, but when the guy said the Smithsonian, I'm like, yeah, imagine the president being like, we're bulldozing the Smithsonian. I got to deal with the Pop-Tarts is giving us money to make a Pop-Tarts wing at the Smithsonian. And, like, just doing that without asking anybody. Like,
and
it's
now
the same thing.
I'm going to wear Fonzie's jacket. Fonzie's jacket, it's my Smithsonian, it's my jacket.
It's also such a fun reversal to me for a guy who has his entire life been a landlord to be told finally, you are a tenant. Like, you need help with plumbing?
But again,
I'll
let's
see you
put
in
our
4
money down.
months.
Let's put our money down, Sal. The Supreme Court's going to tell him it's his house, right?
Yeah. Yes. I think they gave him immunity to, like, basically kill people. So I can't imagine they won't give him immunity. I can't imagine they won't give him immunity to bulldoze the East Wing. He also, after the ruling, completely dropped ballroom and just started referring to it as the much-needed military center that he's building at the White House.
It's funny because he dropped it, but in the same time, he also was like, they could have cocktails. Like, he's still... He wants to talk about it as... He knows legally he should start talking about it as a medical center, as a military center, but he also is like, and then this over here, there'll be a band and cocktails, and then they'll go do...
Like, the way he went from beautiful ballroom, talking endlessly about drapes and curtains and the tables and all the intricate details.
And no one knew how to do ballrooms before me.
Yeah.
All the presidents wanted ballrooms.
And then he went from that to, okay, it's a ballroom / drone port / military center. And then when this court ruling came down, he just said, how dare you stop the much-needed military center from being built? He just dropped the ball. It's like pitching your spouse, like, I'm going to open one of those hybrid KFC Taco Bells. And they're like, I don't think that's a good idea. And you're like, okay, actually, it's Taco Bell / McDonald's. And you're like, I still don't think it's a good idea. And you're like, okay, it's McDonald's / hospital. It's a McDonald's. Okay.
Do you not want hospital?
Oh, you don't think it's good that we should open a hospital in the community?
I was just like, I still think you want a McDonald's. It's like, it's a hospital. Oh my God, is it also McDonald's? Yes, but it's a hospital.
Yes. But we've been talking a lot about, like, implicit confessions about what Trump knows about himself, what he's done, what he won't apologize for, and what he's actually good at. He implicitly sort of confessed to the fact that he lied about gas prices. He implicitly confessed to the fact that the only thing he's good at is building things.
Yeah.
And similarly, like, I think all these renovations are actually kind of like an implicit confession. And there's this clip from New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman talking about how much of his time he spends on renovations that I think is very revealing about his mindset, aside from the very important and salient fact that the President of the United States is spending most of his time just talking about grass and helipads and stuff. But it also says a lot about what he's thinking.
How much of his time actually goes into the renovation now?
A lot. If you looked at like a chart of his mind share, like this I will say about getting into his mind, like 70% of it would be on his renovations. It's a legacy thing, but it's I always think of legacy with him different than the way we usually use the word legacy. It's not what am I leaving behind for the world, it's what am I leaving behind so the world can't kick me off the world.
He's clearly aware of the fact that when he is no longer president, there's an implicit assumption, even in his own mind, that when he's no longer president, we are going to be desperate to eliminate any trace that Donald Trump was ever president of the United States. And so that's why he's desperately building all this stuff to be like, and putting his name on things so he can be like, I know you're going to try to get rid of me, but you can't.
But it's funny because like he also knows like names, they can erase names. If he's like, we got to bury rebar.
Yeah.
like we have to build, because again,
we need million-year plus granite.
Right. That's it. He's like, because again, like, I know he wants to have his name etched into the side of the Kennedy Center, right? Like that can be fixed.
Yes.
His thing is, I will build something they're not going to tear down, right? Like he's going to, if he gets his ballroom built, it's going to be there forever. Or, I'm sorry, it's going to be there for 1 million years plus, whatever. I don't know what
whatever the guarantee from the company is. Yeah. But it's such an implicit confession that he knows that we are going to be desperate to expunge any scent of Donald Trump the second he leaves office. We are going to be everyone will be so ecstatic at the idea of trying desperately to delete this period of time from our brains. And he's like, I'm not going to let you do it. Like it reminds me of a Seinfeld episode where George had the idea to leave a hat behind at a girl's apartment so that he had an excuse to go back.
Yeah.
So he's like, so I have a second chance. So Trump is basically trying to Costanza DC by being like, the ballroom's still there. Like, you can try to forget about me. You can try to break up with me, but the ballroom is still there.
Yeah. That's going to be like just generations. I'm hopeful that the outcome is just for generations. We see Trump children, Trump grandchildren, like going on TV being like, they're still using the ballroom.
Yes, I know. In retrospect, when you look back at the history books, he was impeached a total of 17 times.
Right. But the ballroom, they're still using it.
Yes. He left office with the lowest approval rating possible. He left with the lowest approval that's ever happened in the history of the country.
Well, it's also because, again, there's this thing about the cost of undoing stuff that's already been done. He's trying to change. We don't have time to get into this, but he's trying to change the way we're launching planes off aircraft carriers in the middle of building an aircraft carrier. He wants to shift back from magnets to steam. And it's going to cost billions of dollars to do that. Wherever you land on what's the best way to launch an airplane, it's no other president.
I love you stipulating wherever you land. Wherever you land. Hey, look, I know there's going to be a lot of people in the comments.
We don't want you to... the Closer Look podcast is also for steam heads.
If you would go to Scott's Miracle Steam, and you'll get 50% off if you type in.
Once again, there were like 50 things we didn't get to.
We will definitely... Let's put a pin in the fact, if you're watching this episode, we will get to catapults. We want to talk about
get to catapults, and we are going to really... we're going to give Tony the business and make sure we find that clip of John Ossoff.
Yes.
Do you want to try it right now? Let's just play it right now.
Did he ask you specifically to scale back on those?
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news.
I just wanted to follow up on the South Korea question.
You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news.
I was trying to find out if you had been talking to Kim Jong-un, if he had asked you to scale back on those military exercises.
Tony!
This is just, I don't know what we're doing here.
But Tony, don't break my thumbs.
No, yeah. We don't want trouble, Tony. We don't want trouble, Tony.
We don't want any clip trouble, Tony. We don't want trouble from the clip union.
All right. We'll see you soon, buddy.
Hey, see you soon.